The traveller can expect an invitation into secondary inspection, like this Nigerian school teacher arriving from South Africa.
Supposed to attend here for a week, attending a wedding.
When is the wedding? I'm 25th.
The 25th.
Yeah.
He said first he was going to stay in New York, he might stay in Philadelphia. I didn't have too many details. That is not common.
Okay, so let's just pause here. So we have a gentleman who's a Nigerian. He arrived at JFK Airport by himself, and he went through the customs, told the initial customs officer that he's coming to the United States to attend a wedding. And when the officer asked him where he's going to stay, his answer wasn't clear. First he said he was going to stay in New York, and then he said Philadelphia. So that was enough to trigger a referral to secondary inspection, which is what he's doing right now with this Customs and Border Protection officer. He's going to get some more questions and see what's going on with his story.
But because our visa was needed to have late, so she couldn't come with me.
When did you buy your ticket?
When I bought my ticket. Yeah, I bought my ticket immediately I got my visa.
When was that? I'm just asking, man. You don't have to look at anything. 2 days ago, 3 days ago? No, I'm not asking. I mean, I can read. I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Okay, so he's asking him a very direct question. When did you buy your ticket? The guy didn't answer the question. He asked him again, when did you buy your ticket? And he said something about when he got his visa. So right now this officer is getting peeved. As you can kind of see it in his tone. He just wants him to answer the question, and he's not doing it. So he's getting automatically suspicious. Then the guy reaches for his papers to try to be able to answer that question, because it seems like he doesn't know the answer. So the officer wants this guy to tell him verbally, when did you buy your ticket, so that he can pull out the document and see if he can give him the right answer. So maybe the guy's just nervous. That can happen. You know, you're getting interrogated by an officer and you just blank. So I don't think this guy's necessarily in trouble, but he's just having trouble answering the questions. And this kind of brings me to another point where this is so common. You know, when immigrants are interacting either with a Border Patrol officer or a USCIS officer or at an embassy for a visa interview. This is like the same experience. You can be totally in the right, and you can be doing nothing wrong. There's nothing suspicious about you or what you're doing. But if you just get questioned and you're just not good at articulating yourself to the officer and answering the questions, if you just blank out because you're scared or you're nervous, that itself can trigger all these additional questions and interrogations. And it can just lead you down a rabbit hole where even though you did nothing wrong, just because you didn't answer the questions clearly and articulately, it just kind of leads you deeper and deeper into this process. So it's a really good idea when you're either coming into the United States or you're going into an interview with any kind of immigration official. You want to be prepared and just be articulate about your story and be ready to answer their questions just to avoid this kind of a situation. So for this gentleman, he's probably just nervous. We'll see what happens as we go through this, but it could be that he's just nervous and he's not good he wasn't anticipating this kind of an exchange at the airport. So that could be happening. Let's just keep going and see what actually happens here.
I know it's here, sir.
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
When did you buy your ticket?
I bought it last month.
You bought it last month.
He can't answer the
I'm
question.
gonna be honest with you. I'm having a hard time believing your story right now. Okay?
And I'm not surprised, because the guy can't seem to answer the question.
At JFK,
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
When did you buy your ticket?
a Nigerian traveller tells officers he's here for his cousin's wedding.
As soon as we go through the bags, we found documentation pertaining to school and work, resume, and all that. No, this is gone. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm having a hard time believing your story right now. Okay?
I don't know if you guys were able to hear that. It happened kind of fast, but the officer said that he found a lot of this guy's identity documents in his luggage. So they found birth certificates, resumes, some job information. He said it happened really fast, but this officer just said, you know where this is going. Okay, so he's finding all this paperwork in the traveler's luggage. He's not being very articulate at answering the officer's questions. So this guy's going to be going to some further inspection.
Normally when we open the bag...
The reason why it's concerning to the officer that the guy has birth certificates, resumes, job information is because he looks like an intending immigrant. Those are the kind of documents that you generally would need to apply for immigration benefits. So if you were going to apply for an adjustment of status or a green card, you would need those kind of documents. If you were going to apply for a job in the United States, those are documents you would need. This guy's coming in on a visitor visa. He's not authorized to do any of those things. So the officer is automatically suspicious as to why he has all these documents. And most people don't travel with that stuff, you know, at least I think. I mean, when you travel, a lot of times people don't bring your resume and your birth certificate. So he's suspicious that this gentleman is an intending immigrant.
We see birth certificates, diplomas, resumes. It leads us to believe that he might be possibly coming here to stay.
Well, follow this officer.
Exactly.
We're going to take it for a room here.
So
why
he's
are you bringing all your certificates and your documents here? Yeah, what are you bringing all this? There's no need for you to have this, you know that, right?
Yeah, but the reason why I took it is so that immigration in South Africa can give me access to go.
Okay.
Yeah, because...
Listen, he had a lot of immigration.
So this gentleman is from Nigeria, but he traveled through South Africa to JFK. And he's saying that he needed those documents when he was going through South Africa. I'm not sure that I understand that, but we'll see.
Cases. So he'll tell you that's actually true or not.
I know, but I'm telling you the way immigrations work in South Africa, most especially if you're a foreigner, the way they treat us is different from the way they treat their own citizens.
This is not required by the government of South Africa.
I said sometimes they do ask.
But
I don't know how he knows what's required by South Africa, but the Nigerian traveler seems to be pretty sure about that. So they're just trying to gauge whether he's an intending immigrant.
Tell you it's not required. Okay, in the United States we don't require none of this stuff either.
Let me go back.
Their own citizens.
This is not required by the government of South Africa.
I said sometimes they do ask.
But I can tell you it's not required. Okay, in the United States we don't require none of this stuff either. Unless, like I said, you're here for other things. Okay? When we see this stuff, okay, people who bring this, they're not on vacation.
Maybe he is coming here to seek job employment. Will he stay here? Will he not go? That's what we're trying to determine if he's being, totally honest with us.
So you want to stick to your story or you want to tell me what's going on? Is there a wedding?
Is there a wedding? He said. So he told the officers he's coming in for a wedding. He's got all this job paperwork, resumes, birth certificates. So I understand why the officers are suspicious. We'll see what happens.
I'm going to call the hotel. I'm going to call your cousin. I'm going to make some phone calls. Is there a wedding?
There's a wedding.
There's a wedding. Your cousin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one that's married.
Okay.
A supervising officer is brought
So they're trying to figure out if there's actually a wedding that he's going to or not.
to get his take on the story.
What are you intending to do here? My major reason of coming here is to attend my cousin's wedding. This invitation was given to me by my cousin who lives here.
To verify a story, we can call church and we'll find out whether or not it's true or untrue for a wedding on the 25th of July.
Man, these guys are really grilling him. Poor guy.
Hello.
Hello.
According to our calendar, we don't have a wedding scheduled for this Saturday here.
Okay, so there's no wedding scheduled for July 25th, 2015.
That's according to our calendar.
I appreciate.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the customs officer just called the church and asked them if there's a wedding scheduled on the day and the time that the traveler stated on the invitation, and the church said, no, there's nothing on the calendar. So that is not looking good for this Nigerian traveler right now.
Done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. They're not expecting anybody for a wedding on the 25th of July.
Oh, man.
This is the officials in immigration here in JFK.
Another officer calls the traveler's American cousin.
Oh, my God. Now they're calling the cousin who is supposedly getting married. This is intense.
You have any family members coming to the United States? What's his name? What is the purpose of his trip? When is the wedding? Where is the wedding located at?
The cousin confirms the wedding plans, and a call to the hotel confirms the venue.
All right.
Hotel said they have a whole thing scheduled. We're going to call to the hotel where the event's supposed to take place. The hotel said they have the event there. Got the reception and all that. It was the time of the event.
Okay, so there is a wedding. Sounds like, man, they really interrogated this guy. So they called the church, they called the cousin, and they called the hotel where the wedding venue is supposed to be. The hotel confirmed, and I think this guy is probably going to be released. It's still a little suspicious why he brought all that paperwork, though. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that.
And the day was
Let me go back here.
reception and all that. It was the time of the event. Also told that the person was actually checking in, and the day was checking out was matched his flight itinerary. The church should have been a miscommunication problem.
So the dates of the wedding match his travel arrangements too. His return ticket matches his checkout time. So that looks good for this gentleman.
All that together, he was telling us the truth as far as we're concerned.
The traveler is clear to enter the United States.
Nice.
And attend the wedding.
He said that he found the documents pertaining to school and work to get out of the country. Those two documents are not required. Okay. All right, good. Okay, thank you.
All right, so they're going to let the guy go. His story checked out, but they really investigated that really thoroughly. I'm still a little bit, they didn't really investigate too much all of his documents, why he brought all the resume and all that stuff. Maybe his story about getting through South Africa made sense to them enough where they weren't concerned about him. But he had, what helped him, I think what really saved him is he had his return flight and it matched his hotel stay, right? His checkout at the hotel matched his return flight going back to Nigeria or South Africa or wherever he was going. His cousin answered the phone and corroborated the story. So that guy must have been in secondary inspection for a long time. Poor guy. But his story was truthful. This is a good illustration of this guy landed in secondary inspection even though he was doing nothing wrong. His story was totally legitimate. His intention was very pure. And he still landed in secondary inspection. And the reason why he landed in secondary inspection is because he was not good at articulating his story to the officer. So the initial officer and the officer in secondary inspection both asked him direct, pointed questions. He did not answer them clearly. So even though he was doing nothing wrong, he landed in secondary inspection. So it's a good illustration, again, that when you're talking to the Customs and Border Protection officers, when you're talking to USCIS, and when you're talking to the visa officers in the embassy, be articulate. Answer the question that you're being asked. Be succinct. Be articulate. Be clear. Be transparent. If you kind of fumble around and you're not clear and you're mumbling under your breath, and you're trying to search for the answer that they're asking you, this is what can happen. And so I'm not super surprised he landed in secondary, but it was good that he had all of the paperwork that he did to corroborate his story.